I need a cheap piece of jewelry. Well, it's not a lot I can do for you. I don't sell any cheap jewelry. I don't carry any. And I don't want to sell any to you. Not that I had any anyway. But the reason why is there's several reasons why you don't want to cheap out on your jewelry. The first is if you happen to have sensitive skin and you just order something random off the internet, there's a very good chance that you're going to get some sort of mystery metal that may contain a little bit of nickel. And a lot of people, including myself, are allergic to nickel. As soon as it makes contact with the skin, it almost looks infected, becomes red, becomes irritated. Piercings never quite heal properly. And if you insert one into a fresh piercing, or I'm sorry, a healed piercing, it will flare up and you'll have an allergic reaction. So all of the steel that I carry, so by the way, everything that I carry, if it's not organic or glass or whatever, then it is 316 LDM ASTM F-138 implant grade stainless steel. That F-138 is very important. That denotes the fact that it is implant grade. I believe it's F-136 for titanium. But every metal that I carry in here, whether it be in a cabinet, back here in the room, or jewelry coming in, is all implant grade stuff. That implant grade stuff typically always is going to be a higher quality. It also will never tarnish. So I'll show you a couple of examples here. Look at some of my older stuff that's come from like Hot Topic or whatever over the years. Okay, here's a good example. Now the base metal on this, although this piece of jewelry is, I think, a little bit, no, there's a rust spot on it. So yeah, the base metal is not that good, but this is better than typical. But anyway, this is more or less the same style as this piece of jewelry, which is a great quality piece, and this was some garbage bought at a mall kiosk sometime 10 years ago. So this guy here, if I can get that to focus, you can see these gemstones, it still has all of the gemstones. This one has none. That's because all of these are actually properly bezel set. In other words, the metal has been formed around the gemstones. The gemstones are set and then the metal is bent inwards, creating a little pocket for that gemstone to sit. In this case, you know, they're not individually set, they're just set in a ring. But these will never ever come out. And they're much higher quality gemstones. I mean, they're lab-grown gemstones. They have wonderful light refraction. Very nice piece. The other major difference between that piece and this one is the threading. So this is what is known, this is terrible. I mean, if you look at that under a microscope, those will look like little miniature saw blades. And especially if you're, you know, if you've just stretched it or if your piercing is really tight, you got to put that in there and it's going to, I mean, it's just going to shred your earlobes. Especially most of the time you're going to use a twisting motion. It's just terrible. You can make yourself really prone to getting, or really prone, or like I can talk this morning, you're getting blowouts. As you're pushing that in, it can take the inside tissue of the fistula and move it out of the back where it will remain. So this is an externally threaded plug. Externally threaded plugs should never be used, ever. The threading on those is not absolutely terrible, but if we look at this piece, I mean, the threads come up above the wearable surface. It's awful. External threading on plugs is bad news. You want your plugs to be internally threaded. See how the threads are on the inside? That way when you go to insert this into the piercing, it's nice and smooth, and you're not going to have to worry about blowouts as much. You're certainly not going to have to worry about the threads cutting into your ear. And then the threads are on this piece. So when this goes together, the threads actually go into the tunnel. Well, I keep saying plug. This is more properly a tunnel, but and it's manufactured really well so that you know, there's not going to be any gap or anything, or any of this nonsense that'll be shredding up your ears that's coming through or moving around. So anyway, the metal is very important. I mean, if you look at this guy, this appears to me, this is some sort of mystery metal piece. Probably came out of a Hot Topic or a Spencer's or something like that. And you can see all that patina on it, all that tarnish. And whatever coating there was on there, it's starting to wear off. So this looks like some sort of a brass plated steel or something. I really don't know. I have no idea where this came from, honestly. But this is awful. Imagine wearing that in your ear for a couple of years. Not good. Again, the implant grade stuff will never ever do that. So if all you have is $5 to spend, there's just nothing I can do. This stuff is quality, it costs money. There's plenty of cheap garbage at the flea market and on Amazon, and you won't find any of it here. And just a quick note about surgical steel. Surgical steel means nothing. It's like me saying, this is an awesome toaster oven. It doesn't tell me anything about it. It doesn't tell me what it does, it doesn't tell me what it's made out of. And surgical steel is to be avoided at all costs. If something is labeled as surgical steel, it's probably garbage. Something to look out for instead of surgical steel is 316L, 316 LVM, or that whole thing that I mentioned earlier, 316 LVM ASTM F-138. Even better, but typically just the stuff that's available to consumers because people want a cheap price point when it comes to their body jewelry for whatever reason. I don't know why people skimp out on that, but they'll go out and they'll buy a $1,000 watch. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyway, typically speaking, what's available to the consumer, unless you go to a good, reputable piercing studio or tattoo shop, it's just garbage. It's not good. It's typically going to be cheaply manufactured, externally threaded, glued in rhinestones, cheap mystery metal. It's going to tarnish, doesn't have a good polish on it, is not designed to be worn inside of the human body. So steel is a good option as long as you're getting the right grade. It's a lot harder to go wrong with titanium because most of the time if people are using titanium, they're using good grades of titanium and they're using top-notch manufacturing products because the stuff's expensive. I mean, from my perspective, on the wholesale side, it's like 3 times, maybe 4 times the cost of the stainless steel equivalent. And both are just as easily accepted by the body. Titanium just happens to be a little bit more lightweight, so especially when we're talking about larger jewelry options and rings and things like that in fresh piercings, they heal tons better. Anyhow, your jewelry quality is very, very important, and especially when it comes to an initial piercing. So without boring you to death, look for quality and just get good jewelry. You don't want something that's going to be sitting in your body rusty or something that's going to constantly be irritating your piercing. And if you don't know where to find good jewelry, come see me, and if I don't have it, I'll custom order it for you. If I can't custom order it, I'll custom make it, and if I can't do that, then I don't know, you have to find somebody else. Probably can't be found. Anyway, jewelry. Get good jewelry. Also, coated jewelry or jewelry that's the color has been altered. So anything that's painted or coated is not a good option because eventually it's going to flake off, and then that can become damaging, and that's just a whole other thing. But if you're going to get something where the color of the base metal has been altered, plating is okay in most instances as long as it's done in a nickel-free way. Things like gold plating. It's my personal recommendation that you stay away from anything that tarnishes easily, like sterling silver or brass, unless you don't wear it very frequently and you clean it often. Both of those things will tarnish, and that tarnish will actually seep into your skin, leaving you with discolored skin, usually green or black, and it's called a tarnish tattoo, and it never goes away. So really the best things that you can wear, in my opinion, are glass, organics, implant grade stainless steel, implant grade titanium, and there's another metal out that's available now called niobium. And niobium tarnishes very slowly in Earth's atmosphere. It's very good metal to use for piercings as well. But the best thing to do for, if you want a piece of jewelry in a certain color, get titanium and have it anodized. That anodization process changes the surface color of the metal without adding anything or taking anything away. And so just stay away from the painted coated stuff. Stay away from the glued in rhinestones. Stay away from the external threading, and you're gonna wind up with some quality stuff.